agenda meeting to order. And ask everyone to stand for the invocation by Commissioner Reed and then the Pledge of Allegiance.
Lord, we come together in the aftermath of a challenging time for our community. To those who have lost homes, property, or a sense of stability, our hearts are with you. We're here not only to address the needs of today, but to work together for a stronger, safer future. As we continue to assess the damage and begin rebuilding, know that you are not alone. Our community, our partners, and every individual in this room is committed to seeing us through. Let us move forward with resilience, compassion, and hope. We ask for your guidance to continually do what is in the best interest of our city and its residents. Also, please watch over our first responders and indeed our entire city staff of dedicated professionals who have worked tirelessly during this challenging time to serve our citizens. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Carly, if you can call the roll, please.
Nidinger?
Here.
Thomas?
Here.
Thompson?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
Penny?
Here. All right, this morning we're going to review the agenda for the November 12th meeting. Items we have a public hearing for ordinance number 2024-09, which is an emergency ordinance of the city of South Pasadena, Florida, pertaining to Chapter 90, Emergency Management, Section 1, Authority of Incident Commander, Section A, providing for a waiver of the incident commander's $50,000 emergency expenditure limit, providing for an expiration of this emergency ordinance, providing for conflict, providing for severance, providing an effective date. This is the first and final reading. Anyone have any questions or concerns? We understand what this is for, right?
We'll also be discussing it in the workshop this morning as well. But if you have questions, we could do it now, but
Right.
we'll also be talking about it this morning.
All right. Okay, we'll have no unfinished business. We will have the consent agenda for the minutes for the month of October. We're also going to have new business, which is two ordinances. One is ordinance number 2024-06, an ordinance of the city of South Pasadena, Florida, amending appendix chapter A198 fees of the Code of Ordinance relating to rates and charges for sewage usage, to increase the base minimum monthly sewage rates and sewer flow charge rate by 8%, providing an effective date to be first reading. And the next item is another ordinance, number 2024-07, an ordinance of the city of South Pasadena, Florida, amending appendix chapter A198, fees of the Code of Ordinance relating to the rates and charges for reclaimed water, to increase the minimum monthly reclaimed water service charge for single-family residential customers to $10.87, and to increase in commercial and municipal user service charges to $310.58 per pervious acre, providing an effective date. This will be the first reading again. So any concerns over these items, discussions? I think we pretty much know what's happening with most of these ordinances, and we're going to learn more in a minute on the other one. So at this time, agenda's set. We'll adjourn. Let's go downstairs and have a workshop. the roll again, please.
Leininger,
Here.
Thomas,
Here.
Thompson. Here. Reed,
Here.
Penny.
Here. All right. Well, first off, we're gonna throw Ian Boyle under the, right into fire. We got a rate increase request.
Been better.
Busy, John.
Yeah, just texting with the county as we speak. Thanks, guys. I wish there were better times, challenging times to say the least. And hopefully, we've been, it's one of these things we've been picking up more than 2.5 to 3 times more than the normal service. If you're getting some complaints, that's what I was dealing with on the phone. But yeah, at times, like in unincorporated areas, it's impossible to pick everything up as you show up, and they got so much out there, and we're trying to do normal service. All our guys are basically working 15, 16 hours a day because normally on DOT rules with trucks and stuff, you can only go over a certain amount. But when there's a storm and when you're under emergency situations, DOT rules go out the window. So, it is what it is. But anyway, that's my world we're dealing with right now. So, yeah, I did come to the board. It's our annual rate increase. Your contract is capped at 2.5 for the CPI. It's right around 3%, give or take. So, and the other part, the 1.6, is to cover we have the Pinellas County is the last year of their disposal increase. I can't guarantee there's not going to be another one, especially after this storm situation. I'm not sure what they're going to do. But this is the last of 3 years where they raise it 6.8% a year. We figured it out to be kind of like 1.4% of our services disposal. We added another 2% because actually our disposal increase started 10/1. So we've been paying the new disposal rate since October 1. So your anniversary is 12/1. So instead of doing 2 rate increases, like one on 10/1 and one on 12/1, we'd rather just do one, less phone calls. So that's kind of where we're at.
Well, looking at it, I mean, difference I see is like 64-cent increase per month for residential and $10.17 for for commercial. Not a huge jump. People in town be here 4.1, things like that. Things got to
Yeah.
shoot up there. So it's not really that big of a increase.
And you guys are smart when you did your contract, putting that cap in there. Some other contracts don't have that, especially sometimes, there were some times when we were looking at 7, 8, 9%, so you guys are smart when you did that. It's not saying
Well,
that.
I have a couple of Wiz Connections contracts in different cities. Our city gets a really good deal.
Yeah, we try.
Compared to the others.
Yeah. Well, we, everything is kind of done when we put the bids together. It's based on, obviously, CapEx, what we have out there, routing and everything. And considering we've been with you for so long, we already have the capital in place. Our guys know the routes. There's no really uptime, so we're allowed to put off whatever savings we can do onto the contract. If we're bidding a brand new contract that we're not in, we have to buy trucks, we have to bring in new people, stuff like that. So that's one of the benefits of staying with a company. If things are good and phone calls are little to none and you feel comfortable with the rate increase, and it's hard for me when I sometimes, it's a competitive environment. So when I go to another municipality to talk to them about their service, and like, well, we have a good contract, good company, phone calls are minimal. I'm like, it's hard for me to argue. Like if it's good, if you're not getting the phone calls, which is basically number one, it's hard for me to argue. So I think the best thing about our contract, and I can maybe speak for Sean, but you got 2 of the best DMs and the site manager, Bill Krimmel, and Logan Anderson. So they're the best 1-2 punch, I believe, definitely in the state. And
Well, I know right now it's trying times, of course, and I know a lot of the communities around here are looking for, roll-off dumpsters and things
Correct.
like that, and I know you guys have been doing your best to supply everybody with what they need, but you have a limit to how much you have available as well. When you reach that limit, aren't they allowed to go to somewhere else to get it if you can't supply what they need?
yeah, I think if we don't have roll-offs, like if we've hit our limit, then obviously, In times like this, there's a lot of work to go around. And there's plenty of work to go around. But I understand what you're saying, like if in a situation, like at the beginning of when the storm hit, we didn't have enough roll-offs. We were bringing roll-offs in from Miami and Orlando just to kind of meet the need. Things have settled down a little bit because people have brought, but you're going to see the next round, because what we're seeing in some of these communities that they've put out their storm debris. They've made one pass. Well, now the contractors are going to have to come in and start doing the work, So there's a certain time, because I'm assuming South Pasadena, like some others, have potentially 2 or 3 passes. But after that last pass, then the contractors are going to be responsible for taking their stuff away. So, you're going to see, everybody at the beginning was like, give me any can you can get, anything you can get. I mean, I got to tell you, we were driving up to people's homes, and people had taken cans from commercial businesses and wheeled them to their homes and stuff. We actually had, Sean can back this up, our roll-off, after Helene, floated away 4 blocks onto a guy's house, and then once we finally got there, it was filled up. Wow. Yeah, it was filled up.
Well, you can see that that cleanup is happening. Like you said, there's going to be different phases of that cleanup.
Yes.
People start bringing out, now it's empty, I can put more stuff out there. And the contractors are taking advantage of some of that, of course, and hauling it off themselves. I know that we were lucky at the community where I managed to get at least 4 roll-offs. We wanted more, of course, but that was about all that was available at the time. And then, so we filled those a number of times, finally sent those back last week, and now the contractor we've hired to work on the community, he had 10 delivered yesterday. And they just brought all 10 in. So I was like, wow, I couldn't even get more than 4. Now there's 10 available. So
At the beginning, because when none of the storm debris contractors had started, everybody wanted it gone.
yeah.
I have another municipality.
I got one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, people wanted it
I
gone.
got one the next morning at 7 o'clock.
But after, once the storm debris folks stop, they realize that I don't have to, take it somewhere or whatever. I can sit back. I had another municipality where somebody just dumped in a parking lot and at a corporate building, and everyone thought, oh, that's where you're supposed to put it. Now this municipality is trying to figure out how to get that material out. So people at the beginning are just kind of like, do whatever I can do. And then it dies down, especially when the storm debris contractors start. Because you've already had, 1 pass, 2 pass? I'm assuming one
Yes.
pass? 2 passes? Yeah.
Well, technically 1, our second pass will be November 12th.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we could put more stuff out.
Last chance.
Last chance.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, I appreciate the help that you've given everybody in the city and everywhere else to help get through this. And
Yeah, I
it's
wish-
a lot, I know.
I know what I've found in just dealing with Pinellas and these storm debris contracts from different counties is that, it's a complete team effort. There's not one company out there that can handle all this. There's not one landfill that can handle all this. It's just, you just have to work together and try to, make it work. And I'm happy to see, there's a lot of guys, who are, anyone who can work can sling stuff, is out there with trucks and stuff, and that's kind of what you need, because we're doing what we can, but it's an impossibility when you get to someone's house and the amount of stuff that's there, And they normally have a can in 1 bag, and now they have 30 bags.
Some of these landfills are just piles of stuff. And
Yep.
wood chips from cutting up all the trees. They're like 4 or 5 stories. They look like out there.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a lot of
Amazing.
free mulch.
Yeah.
There's and a lot of these counties are struggling with their landfill airspace. So, it's the same thing. We have X amount of years left in our landfill unless we get a couple of storms. Well, we got a couple of storms back to back. So I've talked to folks in Citrus, Hernando, Pasco, everybody's struggling with landfill space. So you might see some piles. You're going to get to a point where you see a pile going away quickly, but then the pile gets up again, but it's going to take a little bit longer because the local landfill, the local transfer station can't handle it anymore. So now it's got to drive farther away. It's going to happen in every county for the next anyway. I've been living this for too much. So.
Yes. So is this something that's going to be the next week?
Yes, so, yep, with With y'all's
Everybody's in favor of the
Yep.
increase?
That'd be a motion.
I guess not in favor, but we're okay with it.
No problem.
We support it.
No
Yeah,
problem. No problem.
thank you. Thanks, guys, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Ian.
And for Bill and Logan, they wanted me to thank you guys personally.
And
we
thank
get-
Bill for me. too.
Oh, yeah, I will. These, you know, Bill lives very close to here, and this is kind of, this one of his municipalities close to his heart, so he just wanted to thank you guys. So, all right, guys, thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
Okay, next, hurricane response update. Who's giving us that one?
It's kind of all of us, so who wants to go? You wanna just come up?
Oh, boy.
Bring
You might as well just come up.
Bring everybody up.
It all relates anyway.
Oh, good, a team effort.
Yep,
I appreciate it.
we're in it together.
Where did,
He ran away.
Change.
Sean's like, I'm out.
He's out talking with you.
Yeah.
He'll come up eventually. I guess I'll start. Sure. Since I'm the one who's on the hot seat these days. So we're doing substantial damage estimates. We have completed the initial field work for the substantial damage estimates. I received, so in the last 3 weeks, I've had two inspectors and one permit tech who have come in to help us out. The two inspectors that came in, we had one week and one the next week, and they came in and we went around house by house from the street. We didn't do anything interior to assess all the damage that we could see from the street. We put that into the database that we have that's required by FEMA. That then produces letters. So there's a little bit of data cleanup that has to be done prior to each letter being produced, but we have to do it for every property in the city. We have gotten through, I want to say about 300 of the letters. They were mailed, what we've gotten through so far was mailed yesterday. We're still in the process. That was just a single family, one and two family dwellings. Still working on the mobile home park for the values. And then we have all the multifamily units as well as all the commercial buildings. So we still have a long road, unfortunately. We have been able to issue some permits for things that did not have substantial damage. That initial sweep, there were some of the condos, like 7050 Sunset, didn't get any water damage. So that was a relatively easy one, that all the permits that had come in for little things, AC units, water heaters, that kind of stuff, so we were able to get some of those out. Other than that, we've been busy. Very, very busy.
Terry, do you, even for condo owners that weren't affected, they have to be assessed as well?
So the requirement for substantial damage is that the entire building has to be assessed.
Or you have to look in
So we have to look at the
structure?
value of the entire building, and then it gets divided by the number of units to determine how much each one of those unit owners would be able to spend in order to not come up to that 50% rule for the entirety of the building. Because think about, if it's a two-story building, the entire first floor got flooded and the roof blew off. Now, there's a question as to where we are, because if then the second floor units also had flood damage from the roof as opposed to from the ground. So now we have to assess each building.
Okay,
So,
yeah, it's complicated.
Well, and that's a
It is.
valid point, right, because we did see roof damage with Milton after the
right.
flood
Flood
damage from
damage.
Helene, so the
Look, and I can
combination.
tell you, like, you know, where I manage some of the 10-story buildings, say 107 units in it, their appraised value is 23 million. So you got 10 units on the first floor, probably not going to reach that
Correct.
price, you know, as far as repairs, so. But if you got, like you said, a two-story, and the first, even if it was only the first floor, that could overwhelm what the entire building's worth, and that.
Even if they don't have
Would
roof
have to be
damage.
built back to
Yeah.
FEMA specifications.
more than likely, if it's just the first floor, it should be okay. But then think about, throw an elevator into that. Throw in roof damage, throw in electrical service. With a unit that size, the electrical service can be quite daunting. So, yeah, so there's
My
lots of,
understanding of condo situation, if the 50% rule applies, you could look at potentially, not saying that it is, but potentially a whole building being said
sorry, you can't do anything to bring the building to code?
So,
To-
potentially, yes.
Okay. No, I mean-
So in theory, normally, so it's just the building, it doesn't include any common elements. So the pool's not included in that, any outbuildings, any carports, none of that stuff is included. So in theory, yes, that is a possibility, which is why we have to look at everything. On the other side of that, it may be that they'd have to, I hate to throw out a million scenarios. So there are a million scenarios. One could be that now all the first floor units are gone and they just have a second floor. And the first floor becomes not storage, parking, access,
Non-livable space.
That's how
non-livable
you would
space.
consider it having been
The
elevated. is that you
community
don't have the
center,
first
and then they
floor.
could do like a floodproofing for that area. I mean, there's lots of options.
Right.
I don't want anybody to panic over taking all the first floor units away, because that's not where I'm going. But, I mean, there is a possibility of it, so I hate to say that it's not a possibility.
Right.
So when,
If I may-
when FEMA's 50%, so on the 50%, damage caused by flood, but then you had the second storm with the wind that had nothing to do with the flood, that might have ripped the roof off. That's still included in the FEMA evaluation?
So the substantial damage, substantial improvement document is, so even if you were just doing a renovation to your home, that substantial 50% is part of that equation. So even if you didn't have any flood damage, if you were doing more than 50% of the value of your structure, you would have to bring it up to current code. So that's the requirement. So because there's flood damage,
It adds it to
it's, well, the value of the structure is the value of the structure. So the property appraiser gives us that number. For all the 1 and 2 family houses, there's some of the commercial buildings, some of the multifamilies are in there, but some of them are not, so we're working through that. The other option is to get a private appraisal. The private appraisal, usually those numbers come in a little higher because they go and do a little more in-depth look at what the structure is, and they take lots of pictures and can value it a little higher. The property appraiser tends to lean on the lower end because it's for tax purposes. So they tend to go the other way. Property appraisers tend to go a little higher. The requirement for that, though, is has to say that it is for use by the floodplain administrator, and it has to be used for substantial damage and improvement determinations. So if those two things are not on that property appraiser document, property appraisal, we would not be able to use it. So it's,
But what about things like, say in the first floor units and the water got up to above the outlets, all right? So we know the outlet's got to be replaced. Is that going to immediately say, boom, you're now have to bring your electric box up to code because they're replacing all these outlets and wiring possibly?
possibly,
Possible.
not necessarily.
Each
So
scenario is
if you
different.
have an existing square D box and everything is up to current standard, and you just have to replace the receptacles, you may have to replace some breakers, it's gonna be about a 50%, because there's a bunch of stuff that's above, right? Because you've got ceiling things, you've got wall outlets that are a little higher in your countertops and those kind of things. If you have an old Zinsco panel or a Federal Pacific panel, which the insurance companies won't even cover anymore, then more than likely, you're gonna have to do that.
Or within a place where it's not supposed to be, like in a closet or something like that.
So, no, so existing building code says anything that exists can continue to exist.
Okay.
So the requirement then is, if you can, like, if you're changing out the panel, if you can change it so that it's no longer in the closet, like you can flip it onto the other wall, that's great. If you can't do that, in a 6-story building, I'm not making everybody take them out of the closets, because that would be, you'd have to go from the ground up and going through everybody else's units, and that's just not an option. So the technically infeasible clause is in the existing building code, and we use that.
Like from people living in the condos, so
Yeah.
they can use that. Okay.
The 50% rule, help me understand that. Is that based on that's not based on the property and the land, let's say the structure itself.
It is only.
Or in the case of
With no
condo,
special features.
just the value of the condo unit itself.
Yeah.
Correct.
But the
So
50%
it's the
rule
value
on
of the
condo
building of
goes,
the condo.
that's what I say, it goes to the building value on the condo.
Correct.
Okay.
On a single-family residence is the value of the residence itself. So if you have a detached garage or a shed or a pool,
Right.
none of that stuff comes into play, and the value of the land does not come into play.
Gotcha.
If you're in a, I'm sorry.
Is it the assessed value
So it's,
on the appraisers?
so when you go on the property appraiser's website, there's a FEMA WLM letter. So if you pull up the property,
I see it.
so if you open that letter, they have a breakdown, and the WLM is the wind loss mitigation, and FEMA is the 50% rule. So it's the value of the structure itself.
And it breaks it down on that letter for you. It says, here's the value of your structure, here is your 50% rule improvement amount. It is very clear. It is very clear.
And of course, people are hiring private appraisers.
Which they can do, but they have to know it's not the same as just, oh, I'm getting my house appraised. It's a specialty. You have to do it,
The right
do it
appraisal.
special, yes, correct.
Extra features would be if you had a pool, a shed,
Okay.
Any-
Dock.
Anything not
dock.
attached to the house, not a part of the main structure.
so yes, and then on condos, it is the entirety of the building. So, but it's the building itself, not,
Not any of the ground amenities, the dock,
no dock, no
shuffleboard
pools,
course.
none of
Not
that.
Yeah,
to
okay.
exceed $50,000 online. Yikes.
Someone said that condos,
I know.
they're not, FEMA is not hauling away debris from condos because it's not a,
That's coming. We can shift to that now. though.
Well, guess what?
We have some updates on
Yeah,
that.
that's what we're waiting for on my street, is
Yeah.
there's a lot of ambiguity or,
yeah, that's,
I mean, well, most of the condos have already picked up their stuff.
That's all right, I think we
My
have an
street is
update.
like,
Yeah.
it's growing still.
yeah,
I'll take
yeah.
that bus.
Okay.
I've driven down it, I
Well,
know.
the problem is, and I'm sure Sean's got information and stuff to provide to David. The condominium are responsible for hauling this stuff off.
Right.
And their insurance will pay for it if you have, but it's all by allocation. So they're responsible for removing all the drywall from the units, bringing them back to a white box condition. They're responsible for replacing appliances that originally were installed when it was first built. So, you know, you get an appliance, when somebody bought in there when it was first originally built, there was an appliance package. There was a refrigerator, there was a stove, you know. There were no microwaves probably in some of these.
Not
Or it hadn't
ours.
come up with them back then. And washer and dryers are usually not covered. But they have to put it back to weight. So disposal of those appliances and that drywall is covered under the insurance for the associations. But everything else isn't. So all their personal belongings, their tables, chairs, clothes, all the other stuff that got thrown out there is not covered. And that stuff, you know, is you have to pay to get it done. And a lot of condos, that's what they did. They hired some company to come in and just haul this stuff off. And then when they finally get their allocations, 90 to 120 days from when the appraiser finally files with FEMA, with the insurance company, they'll get for per unit an allocation. Maybe it could be 80 pages listing everything from the nails down to the refrigerator to the appliances of how much that person would get back, because each unit is different. And so at that point, that's when they can say, okay, we can deduct this amount of money from that unit to pay for the garbage, which still means they probably got some out of pocket, because these haulers were charging way more than they probably should have, but you had to get it out, so people just spent the money. So, but you gotta wait till you get your allocations. I mean, some of these associations are getting advances from the insurance company, but without any type of breakdown of how they can spend it. And if they spend it wrong, you know, they gotta come up with it and put it back.
We're self-insured at Pasadena Cove, so,
That's scary.
yeah, I know, and
That's
we
special assessment.
paid to have it hauled up.
Yeah. So Sean, I'll let you go ahead and answer about picking up.
Okay, well, I sent you guys an email this morning. You know, pretty much the city, we have done our one pass. They will be back on the 12th of November to do the final pass for, you know, residential. I did get some information, was that when that come? Yesterday, Chief? or Friday, that, it came Friday. I was waiting for a little more, information from, Tetra Tech, Bob Renzi, that, I deal with, cause he's kinda in with them. But from this morning's conversation, we are allowed to do one pass for commercial as long as it is out on the right of way. So, when I get out of here, I will talk to them and find out when they can start that. And so a lot of the stuff on Shore Drive, as long as it's in the right of way and the truck can reach it, will start being removed.
Just understand.
You know, and that was a FEMA last minute. You know, that's not a
That
city
just
decision.
changed. We have been pushing for that,
Yeah.
but it just changed.
You
Yeah.
gotta understand now,
So
you're gonna
they
have
are
all these
paying for
condominiums
that.
that paid to have this hauled out, and now these people are gonna get theirs hauled away. So, there's gonna be that. I mean, that's the hard part about doing it, because some people
Right.
did the right thing, some didn't do anything. I know some of the condominium managers along Shore Drive said, oh, we don't get paid for this, we can't do it, and so they just left it sit there. And they thought, well, we'll put it out in the cities right away, and the city will have to deal with it, you know, which basically probably could be deemed illegal dumping, I guess, in a way. But in this type of circumstance, things need to be taken care of, but for FEMA to wait this long, after most of it done, most of the work, all of a sudden, now, this is not the first time this sort of thing has happened in the state of Florida.
Anywhere else.
It's part of what
Yeah,
FEMA
every year.
is. FEMA should have this law already in there.
I
you
agree.
know?
No,
That
I
was my
know.
thought exactly.
If it's in the right of way, it should just be part of their deal.
I mean, residential debris from a condo is residential debris.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I mean,
One
yeah, I get the
issues
billing
that came up
for
were
regular pickup.
the
It's
claw
like
that
we're-
was picking up
It's like
some of the
assuming that
stuff,
all rentals are
that the
leased.
wires
Yeah.
were right
And that's not-
there,
that's not it.
you know, those big high
People
trucks,
live there. It's just
that the
people-
wires were
Right.
right
Own their
there, and
condos. It's a
they were,
residence.
like on St. Pete Beach, they were saying, you're gonna have to push it out further because we can't
Mhm.
get to
No,
it.
and I mean, and people have
Because
to.
those trucks are really, really
Oh, yeah,
high.
and, you know, just a lot of it comes down to, I guess, common sense. You know, I mean, you have to look around, you don't put it on your water meter, you know, you don't put it on your reclaim box, you don't put it next to a fire hydrant, you don't cover up your mailbox, you know, and you look at some of the stuff out there, and, you know, we'll have to go out on Shore Drive, because I noticed, I think there's one or two, fire hydrants that are totally covered in that debris, so, we'll have to go, oh no.
He got a pain
So
to
we'll
it.
have to, you know, we either have to go find those or, you know, get City of St. Pete to come out and mark where they're at, but, you know,
So
can't
that
see
claw
them.
doesn't pull it up.
Exactly, because
That's
now,
what
you know, now
happened.
you have, you know, a 6-inch line,
Snow flags like they use up
Yeah.
you know, so, but that's part of it. But again, you know, that was FEMA's last minute. I agree with everything you said, you know, that should be something, you know, right away if, you know, the stuff should be picked up, you know, not wait until now, because there's gonna be a lot of, you know, condo privates that are, you know, it has to be on the right of way, like you're behind a gate, that's a little bit different.
Yes.
You know, but like their situation, you know, it has to be on the right of way, that was the biggest thing, but,
You'll see signs that says more in back.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
But people had it all the way up to their house.
Yeah.
yeah.
And we're expecting them to pick that up. Well,
Yeah.
they had all their appliances lined up in front of the garage.
Right, right, but.
That
but-
didn't-
Yeah, and I mean, and then people that are, the residentials that are not here, hopefully they come back and see that why only half of their pile was picked up, because the truck can't reach it, and if not, then, you know, they'll just have to be responsible for paying somebody to remove what's not out at the right of way. But, I mean, at least we finally got an answer. I mean, it was only, you know, 3.5 weeks too late, but at least we finally got an
Brings
answer.
up a whole nother issue, because a lot of these remediation companies, it's built right in their contract that they haul this stuff away. And instead, they just took it out there and dumped it in the street.
Mhm.
So you're paying to have this guy haul it off, and your contract with them to remove it, and they're not doing it.
Because that was one of the, you know, the scary part of it, because the original FEMA letter, you know, you can pick that up, then you have to be involved with their HOA or whatnot and try to collect the insurance money that these condos would be getting, and I mean, and how do you do that?
It's all done by allocation.
You know, I mean, there is that individual assistance, you know, that I think, you know, there's,
Yes.
that probably handles that, but, you know, I wouldn't wanna touch that.
Well, when the
with
condos come
anything.
in, you'll get a breakdown per unit of what that, because when the adjusters come through, they look at what you had. If you had a Wolf refrigerator, basically, they're gonna pay you back for that Wolf refrigerator. Of course, you know, with being dated, I mean, so they're not gonna say, oh, well, in 1963, you had a GE green refrigerator and pay you the money for that, you know?
Pink.
They
man.
actually give you back
that
for
green
what, like
refrigerator.
kind, for what you had,
No,
but
understood.
with depreciated value, of course.
Mhm.
So each unit would get back a different amount. So when it comes to debris removal, that's a line item that you'll see in 60 to 90 days after it's been filed by your adjuster, that shows what that unit gets back. And if that unit paid to have something hauled away, then that's the money that would be given back to that unit owner to cover. If they paid more, it's out of pocket.
Mhm.
Same
Yeah.
thing with the association. If the association paid to have it, they can deduct it from that unit owner, allotment coming back, but only the amount up to that unit is allowed.
Right, and that was, and I think, the reason that is why FEMA does that is because they don't, you know, in situations like this, they don't want the double dipping.
Yeah, right, and that's
You know,
why
because, you know,
sometimes.
they're telling us that, you know, we're gonna be 100% reimbursed for this now, but
Yeah.
still then you have, you know, the condos, I guess, you know, they're gonna be collecting their insurance money and,
Yeah.
you know, and they just, you know, when you had a contractor empty it, like down here,
Right,
you know, the contractor that tore this out of there, he toted every bit of it away.
yeah, and that's the deal. It would have been nice if that could have happened, but.
And it happened so
this-
fast.
This happens, you know, I've talked to different mayors in other cities, and since all this has happened, and I've met with different insurance adjusters, private adjusters, and it's like this every time. They said it's just what happens when there's a flood of this type of devastation. It all gets shoved out to the road. So it's not like it happened to us and didn't
Right,
happen
oh yeah,
anywhere
no,
else.
I mean, and we're pretty good ahead of the game right now, because if you drive around, I mean, you know, blessing that we're a nice, small city, but there's places around, and now we're going on, what, 4.5 weeks? And some of the stuff hasn't even been touched, you know, so, I mean, you know,
But it is now.
Yes.
We're making
yeah,
headway.
we're
It's
looking
getting better.
good, no, we're looking really good.
I want
mean,
to jump
we are
back
looking really good.
to Terry again. So you went around and did the drive-through evaluations, of course, of all the homes and stuff. Now, when it comes to, if I understand this right, to like the mobile homes, that is a Kelly Blue Book value type deal?
So, yes. So, there are two ways that evaluations are done for mobile homes, not for FEMA. So one is Kelly Blue Book type situation. It's the JD Power NADA guide. Those valuations are the structure itself with depreciation for the year. But with that, you need to know the VIN numbers, you need to know the square footage, you need to know the general shape of each unit. So there's a whole form that gets filled out for each one. The other way is a company called Datacom, and I've been in contact with the Florida Manufactured Home Association executive director to find out how they value mobile manufactured homes. So the second way is there's a company called Datacom, and Datacom does a valuation of the structure for sales purposes, and it's based on the structure itself, but it's also based on the location. So the issue with that is FEMA's guidance for substantial damage, substantial improvement is it is the structure only with the value of the land is irrelevant. So whether that structure is here, it's in the middle of the state, it's in Tallahassee, it doesn't matter. It's the value of the structure
Right.
because that land is still in place.
Yeah.
So we've been on the phone and on email and on every form of possible way to communicate with anybody, including the state floodplain administrator, to try and figure out what people were doing for these values. So Datacom sent me all their data that they had for everything that they've appraised in the last
Something like that, yeah.
5
something like
years.
that.
It was about 40 units. One of them was valued at $220,000.
Cause it's based on.
And it's a
sales,
1968 unit.
location. It's not
It's one of the
the
ones on the
structure.
water. It had a great location. But they don't break it down to give me just the
Just
structure.
the structure.
It's
Some
all
of these
inclusive.
structures have been added on to.
Correct, some of them
That
have.
plays another problem,
So
doesn't it?
so in order to put an addition onto a mobile home, you have to get a building permit. And the building permit is covered by the city. So anytime we do HVAC, carports, additions to the structures, that's covered by a building permit. The manufactured home itself does not require a building permit. The attachment to the land requires the building permit. Because the manufactured homes are governed by the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Had the hurricane strapping and all that kind of stuff,
Correct.
holding down.
It
So-
is very complicated.
And
It
I don't
is very
quite
complicated.
understand why nobody in the state of Florida can give me an answer as to how we do this for a manufactured home
That's what
park.
we keep saying.
If
We
it's,
don't know why
so
there's
there
not
are
an
some
answer.
that are done by the property appraiser, they are considered real property. So you have to turn in your tags through the DMV, it's a sticker, it's not a tag, but you have to turn in your sticker and it becomes permanent part of the land. So if you're on you got 5 acres somewhere and you wanna attach a manufactured home and have that as your home, it becomes real property and that has a value. But unfortunately, because this is, the landowner has the land, the manufactured home owner owns the home, Department of Motor Vehicles takes care of the manufactured home, the building code takes care of the attachment to the structure. So that is an interesting, I have
Well,
not
I'm
figured
guessing the
out.
letters have not gone out to.
I have not sent any to the manufactured home park yet.
Okay.
They are in, we've done the field work, that is completed. But no, the letters have not gone out to the manufactured home park yet.
So
Kind of get a true evaluation.
Correct.
Terry, the letter, does that go out from the city or is it the letter that's on the property appraisers?
So what we've done is we've created a letter explaining the substantial damage and where each property is based on the letter from the property appraiser. So we've attached the property appraiser's letter, the letter that we've created, as well as a copy of an appeal form. So if you choose to appeal this decision, you can do it one of two ways. You can either get the property reappraised with all the documentation that's required, or you can get 2 contractors, licensed contractors, to give you estimates based on their valuation of the property and based on ours, and say we're not above the 50%. So there's an appeal process as well.
Okay.
So with the letters that are going out, it's the substantial damage determination letter.
Which
It
is from the city.
Which is from the city. The property appraiser's FEMA letter.
But the numbers would be the same.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. The structure
values
value
would be
is
the
on
same.
the substantial
The
damage
value of the structure
determination
listed
letter.
in our letter is pulled directly from that county letter.
Okay,
We're just
I see. It's
including a
good.
copy of the county letter so that they can
So
see
they
where
see
we
Yeah,
got it
this
from.
letter's dated November 5th.
Yeah.
So
Right, so that's one of the reasons why we made a copy of that letter. So if for some reason the value changes on the property appraisers, because every day that you pull the thing, it'll have the new date on it. So it'll be based on that date. So just in case, I wanted to make sure that we had a copy of the date that we pulled it from.
Okay, that's good.
I don't think it will, but
What did you say your value was when you just looked?
The date on the letter,
No, the value listed in it.
the value of my structure, 103,000.
I think that went down.
If you look at the other, the just value, it's 293. So, if you go back to the actual property appraiser's site, taxable.
that
just-
would include the other structures.
Oh, okay.
So the pool,
Yeah,
So-
that's right.
Let's see what happened.
So
Have a
it says
percentage of what was
50%,
damaged in the mobile home
50%
community?
rule could not exceed
Right.
51,845.
Percentages of devastation,
So-
fixable
No
total.
way.
None.
FEMA's guidance, which is what we have to go by. FEMA's guidance says that if the floor system of the mobile home, so whether it be just the insulation, the ductwork, the joists, the subfloor, if any of that got saturated, it is then major damage. So the flood levels in the mobile home park ballpark was about 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet, because it goes 9 to 10 as far as the base flood elevation. Most of the mobile homes in there are not far above grade. The old requirement that we had in the code before I got here was 3 feet above grade was allowed. And a lot of those were done even previous to that. So we have some that are elevated. The elevated ones did not take on water damage. Some of them got roof damage. Some of them had like a piling fell over on the foundation. So there was some damage to most of the elevated ones are okay. But there aren't many.
So if they were flooded, which the ones that are, so they will be in that 50%? Really?
More than likely.
Yeah. So then those people, they would have to take out their whole flooring because it was,
No, ma'am.
nope.
They have to take out the-
No.
They just.
Substantial damage means that
Yeah,
you have
right.
got to bring it up to current standards.
Right.
Which means elevating, some of these cannot be elevated, there's not an option there. Fixing the floor in some of these, because it is a system as opposed to a structure. It's basically, correct, it's all integrated, and it's not built to building code standards. So the requirements for the manufactured homes at this point, it has to meet the wind requirements, it has to be elevated, it has to be tied down. A lot of these don't meet that. So if they go over the 50%, they're more than likely not going to be able to fix them.
Yeah.
So, jump to another scenario. Commercial businesses, how are they affected?
It is the same rule.
Okay.
So they, now the value of some of the commercial businesses is a little higher because it's usually concrete glass, right? And most of them are valued a little higher. And if they just took on some water damage, it's a concrete floor that, they might have some cabinets or, counters or some drywall.
I think that's what Winn-Dixie had.
Winn-Dixie got roof damaged.
No, but they had 4 inches of water, but they made
Correct.
them go 18 inches on the drywall all the way in there.
Okay, yeah, I had a little conversation with them this
They're
week.
gonna reopen?
He said about 3 months,
Right.
Wow.
probably 2 more now.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
does
So
that,
It's the same basic rule.
same rule?
Any letters gone to those?
I have not gotten to I wanted to get the residential done first because I figured they are kind of the ones we want to make sure our residents are taken care of. The commercial businesses, yes, we want to get them back open, but I felt residential was priority.
And I don't know if you would even know this, but does the owners of the mobile home park take any action against people that are there? Like, give them notice that they have to get repaired or fixed by a certain date or anything like that?
Hi, sorry, I was late, I had another meeting. As it relates to the mobile home park, I have been in touch with their attorney, and I would probably suggest at this point that we don't go any further into
Oh,
a
okay.
deep discussion
Good.
as we are continuing this conversation.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia.
She raised her hand. She raised her hand.
Yes, I got no vision over there.
Thank you, Julia.
Mr. Collins.
It's training, 20 years here. So, okay, all right. So,
Can
I
you
guess,
put me
does
up the hot
Chief
seat
have
for
a type of an update for us too?
Well, the only thing I have is, we have some ongoing missions out there, so we're putting multiple mission requests in through the county, which go to the state. Two that are in progress right now. We do have an FDM technical expert on site, to help us kind of guide us with, reimbursement, debris, Cat B emergency protective measures, and any other, potential funding sources that are out there. We also successfully got a request in for state-supported debris removal from waterways. I got a Zoom meeting at 1:30 to discuss that. So hopefully, the state will actually take care of the debris in the waterways. That'll be a long process, but they're gonna have a countywide.
Boats?
That's a good question.
I mean, they're smashed up against the seawall, it's just a big piece
It's
of
gonna be
trash.
Been there for a while, yeah.
It's gonna be
I'll know more
complicated.
today, hopefully. And then, of course, we continue with the request for help for Terry's department. We put in it a long time ago, 5 inspectors, 5 plans reviewers, 5 permit techs. They've been giving us people as they can. They cannot fill the complete order because, of course, so many people in the state are asking for similar resources. We also put in a request early on for 5 fire inspectors. So it was worked in a different route to where the state brought in a team and swept our area and did what they call fire assessments, not a full inspection, but at least it's an assessment that then guides us on which properties need to be focused on. So working on that. If you see our folks out there doing fire inspections, most likely it's because of that information we received. It's not to, pile on at this point. It's simply to make sure if we got a multifamily unit and the fire alarm is out of service, can we get that back up? If the sprinkler system's out, can we get that back up? So, life safety issues we're addressing, minor things we're working with the owners to get that done. And then, of course, many places have decided not to reopen currently. Whether it be apartments, condos, or businesses. As you go around the city, you'll notice some people have decided not to reopen. So.
So while we're on that subject, can I ask a question? I spoke with Carly. These people, I really feel bad for them. I've helped some people find places to stay, but I think that maybe we should reduce the amount of the permit that we're charging these people just during this period to help them out. I mean, not eliminate it, but just maybe reduce it.
That's an option on your part, if you
Yeah.
choose to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not for or against in either direction. We are more than likely going to have to get additional staff to help with the amount of permitting we're gonna be doing. I'm not sure how that's gonna come about, if that's gonna be
pay for that.
paying an outside contractor. We do have a contract with Joe Payne. They have offered services to help support that. I just don't know at this point. At least I'm not saying don't.
Right.
I mean, I definitely don't think we should eliminate the fee.
No.
But I'm not opposed to reducing the fee. I'm just not sure what our additional staffing requirements are gonna be.
Well, and then reimbursement from FEMA, it's not like they're gonna, it could be a couple years, right, before we get our money.
It could be a couple of years.
More than likely.
Yeah.
Couple times
Not
through.
more. I
Four
mean,
or three, I've
don't
heard.
we still owe us money from 2017, I think?
No, we're done on 17.
Are we?
I think we're still owed from 22.
I'm gonna remind the government that when they want my
I
tax
think
check
we're
in
done.
April.
We're done
Yeah.
from Irma. Now it took a while. Like we were very recently done from Irma, but I think we're done from Irma,
I mean,
but not from Ian or Dahlia.
we're looking at replenishing most of the reserves we were trying to build up to try to get most of this done. And paying for these extra people out of pocket until that money comes in to reimburse us. I want to help everybody too, but then again, we're a small city. We're not Pinellas County, we're not St. Petersburg. We don't have that type of money. It's something we'd have to really put some discussion into and see. We'd have to meet with Jim, have Jim here and kind of give us some idea of what the effect would be if we were to lower those fees.
Yeah.
Before we proceed on. I mean, we don't have the personnel to handle things that other cities can handle. I mean, the county right now is for the unincorporated areas. They're working with a form online to remove the debris inside condominium complexes, pulling inside to get it, but you have to sign over your insurance to them. Okay, so they can take a claim on your insurance at your condo, but only in the unincorporated area. We don't have the personnel to do stuff like that, to go through all these files and to contact the insurance companies and everything. We're a small staffed city. So, we kind of have to look at things that way. What we want to be and do, we just don't have it. If the money was there, I'd jump right on it. It could be a long time before we get to see any of this. So, talk with Jim about it, find out what
Yeah, I
he
would
thinks
like-
the
I
effects would be.
would like to talk to him about, I mean, I didn't, when I talked to Carly, I didn't mean to reduce it entirely because
Yeah, no,
there would
I
be
understand.
problems with that, but I just felt like, just the people that I've been dealing with, you know, it's just, it's very, I know you can't help everybody.
We have people out there that don't have any insurance.
I know.
They don't have any homeowners.
I know.
How much is a
You know,
permit,
they did
based on the
nothing.
total
We
job, right?
retired, we didn't think we needed it anymore, and I understand, I get the feeling, but, if you help them, you gotta help everybody.
Yeah.
So,
So it's, the permit fee is $70 for the initial permit fee, up to $1,000, and then everything over that is 2% of the cost of the job.
Okay.
all right, we'll find out from Jim what the effects would be.
And like I said, I'm not opposed to reducing the fee, I just.
Yeah, same here.
I
It's
know
just
we're
don't
gonna
want
have
put
to
us- the
hire
city in a
staff
bind.
somehow.
We have to pay our bills.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this is, of course, gonna be higher than our budget number as.
Yeah, boom.
So, but we're also gonna have additional costs involved with that,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, this budget's gonna be.
Or it'll be a long time before we get a permit out, so. Unfortunately, the staffing, I have a staff of 4, so, and I'm the only planner here, and the only floodplain manager.
When will downstairs be ready for us to have like town halls and things? Is that permit being slowed down by that department?
Yes.
Well, so, because we have to bid all that out, we have to go through our typical purchasing procedures for that, because, and we'll talk about this a little bit in a
Can't we
minute, when we
waive
talk
that
about the
under
ord-
the emergency?
I mean, you can, but it's a hard sell to say that like redoing a bathroom or the kitchen is an emergency. If it were the only bathroom in the facility, maybe, but that's where we're at a little bit. is
True.
The policies for emergency expenses, which is why we were
Yeah.
able to do all the tear out, which
Well,
was.
it's just, I know we're doing the webinars and things to help educate people, but a lot of people just would like to see us and, or see.
Yeah.
And hear this information in person.
Yeah.
Because they just don't do that, so.
Yeah.
So just trying to figure out a place we could.
Yeah, I mean, we're done now till December, you know, for anything in the hall. But yeah, like Carly said, after these guys are done and they're 100% cleaned and, you know, sanitized and back to safe, then, you know, it's back to getting our, you know, 3 quotes per whatever project we're
4 to
doing.
6 months. So that's what I do.
Probably.
June or July.
The tough part is there's a
Probably.
decent amount down there that we've had to take out because the building was not, I don't know how to say this, it wasn't, for example, you know, we have the walls that are all the stone. Those got wet and that water was sewer water. And so we're having to rip out all of the stone in the walls downstairs. So it's not a quick, easy fix, the way that the building was laid
Right.
out. And just some of the features that our building has, there's extra considerations and stuff we're having to take out and
Right. And if
decide
we,
what we're doing.
and
with.
if we do that, you know, FEMA's probably only going to the 4 feet, so then it's our cost to remove everything else.
Well, they might go up. I know in some things, like, at least in homes, if the shower, say, then they would replace, at least insurance-wise, through the FEMA program, is replacing all the way up to the top. But now kitchen cabinets, the bottom cabinet got wet, top didn't. So no, they're not gonna pay to replace the top one. But they'll
Right.
replace, so you'll have a mismatched set.
Oh, yeah, that,
How do you
match
just like auto insurance, you know, you get in a wreck and they replace one headlight.
Yeah, tile, if
But,
it's
yeah.
cemented to the floor, that
But
covers-
yeah, so.
They'll pay to have it regrounded.
Yeah, so I mean, we spoke with our contractor down there and, you know, they had was it the hygienist come in there and look and stuff, but, you know, his thought was just to steam clean it and seal it, but again, that's, you know, with Carly and Terry on that one, I think all that stone should go.
Yeah.
What's your shop?
It's all concrete wall. A lot of stuff we got rid of. Most of the 90% of the stuff we had up high, but you know, our refrigerator and the ice machine and
Pressure washers?
some of the stuff, a lot of the stuff we had up, we put it up upstairs.
We try to prep and move out as much as we
Yeah,
can, or
yeah.
elevate what
Because
we
we
can.
came in and
All-
pressure washed
move as much of
everything
the
in there and
equipment as we
clean it, and then the mediation guys came in and there was just a very little drywall in there, so, you know, when they tore out the little bit of floor, and same with, our annex building, you know, there's some drywall in there they have to get rid of, and got a quote for, was it $89,000 to fix the elevator. This one I haven't got one yet. I'm waiting on them to show up to, yeah, so, you know, and a lot of that stuff, you know, we had turned into our insurance company already, and, you know, waiting that, but, yeah, it's, and I tried to actually contact another, elevator company to come in and give them a price, but without them being under contract, they will not.
Okay.
And Sean, we did, we had the old station remediated too, carpet pulled out, a little bit of wall, and then some moldy ceiling tiles, so figured while we were cleaning things up, get that one cleaned up too. It got a foot of water in the bay and a couple inches in the station, so.
This leads a little bit well into explaining a little bit of the emergency ordinance that's on the agenda.
Oh, the surge from the
So our city code has authorities for our incident commander, which is the fire chief. It establishes that during an emergency and a declared disaster, our purchasing policy is waived. However, it includes a $50,000 limit. That $50,000 limit was put in place in 1998. We don't feel like it's terribly accurate to today's standards for the things that we need to do in the event of an emergency. Yeah. And so we've actually heard of several other cities that are having to do the same thing, either with, actually Treasure Island had the exact same, they also had 50,000 and they are struggling with it as well. They're removing theirs.
At least.
So our thought was to waive it temporarily and then sort of discuss how we're gonna go forward, because this was only for like a 6-month. So in 6 months, if we take no other action, it will be returned. It will stay the way it is. But we're struggling with some of the expenses, the very valid emergency expenses, being over $50,000. So
Okay.
that's why that's on there this morning,
And the old
or
fire
for
station?
next week.
Was that, anything, I guess water got into the old station,
Yes.
I'm assuming. And so are we having to remediate all that?
We did, yeah, that's what I,
that's
was
what you were
just
talking about.
discussing
Okay.
yesterday, all the carpet's gone.
Yeah.
A little, it's very minor, but a couple areas of the wall, the baseboard, they went ahead and took out, and then, some ceiling tiles, but that was from roof, but anything that had mold is gone, yeah.
Right. And the roof, is it blue roofed now, or is it, no?
That was like more of the, sorry, like the older plumbing stuff,
Oh.
yeah.
Gotcha.
All the old plumbing was run through the above the drop ceiling. We knew there were some issues, yeah.
Okay. All right, anybody have any other questions? Do you have any other updates on this subject? Move on to the next.
But that is a good point about the old station, something we'll need to consider. I think historically our issues have been when those oaks collected piles of stuff on the roof, so we'll have to figure out how to make sure that.
Happening now.
Yes.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
I got an elevator guy for you. So, I know you got, we probably have an agreement with what, Otis or somebody? to do
Otis,
this?
over,
And
yes.
Otis is very behind, and Otis is coming in very high priced.
And
Very
way,
high price.
yes, I mean, that's why we were looking into another one, but yeah, it was, and just the scope of work was very minor, and
I say that one was.
It was in the label,
Because that
wasn't
one
it? The-
raised up.
Is it only
Like I said,
your
I'll give
elevator
this
in the
down.
annex, or this one too?
This one too.
This one might even be totally toast.
This
but-
one,
He's been
yeah.
coming in about 50% of whatever Otis has been projecting. So.
Yeah,
like I
yeah,
said,
because that scope of, yeah, it was just
He
weird.
got our elevators running, Otis said it'd be March for him to get them running, he got them running in 2 days.
And you have a contract with
Bids pumped
Otis?
out.
Yeah, because we just
Well,
redid
because
it.
of the emergency orders to the governor.
Right.
And if Otis cannot, what we did, we gave them notice that if they cannot get our elevators up and running within 5 days, we're going to someone that can. And we did.
Plus, this, their repair stuff is not in their scope of work, because their agreement is maintenance. That's why I was shocked when the other company I called said, well, if we don't have a maintenance agreement, we can't do that.
And the
But,
parts are no longer under warranty. You
yeah,
can't buy them
yeah,
anymore.
I mean, I get all that, but
Right.
yeah, that with the price of that was 28,000 for material, and then it was like another 50 some
It's
for.
like
$400 an hour
60
for.
Yeah,
for
60
labor,
something
union
just for
labor.
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 And it's in the work to be done in there is really minor.
Yeah.
I mean, it still has to be done by an elevator
Yeah,
contractor,
there's other
but,
companies, I'll send you that, but you can check in, I'll make sure we can use them, but
Yeah.
they're non-union, so.
okay, yeah, because
I don't have all that.
because I checked to see if the pricing they gave us was government pricing, and it was not. They don't have that, so I don't know, yeah.
That would be double anyway.
Yeah, true.
Well, we had to go with an outfit called Trinity. Ours was out, and we had people on the 6th floor that couldn't get down. And they got it fixed, and it runs better than we have in the 6 years I've been there,
That is some of the complaints citywide we're receiving, is some of the elevators are taking quite a while to repair, so we're doing the best to manage that, but I think there's several commercial condos that do not have working elevators right now. Yep, we heard about it over the weekend. Which is fine, right? We want to make sure that, it's still a safety issue. But I think the frustration levels are pretty high now, understandably so. My understanding is it's sometimes parts issues on these older elevators. So I don't know if the other company would be able to help, or it's simply the equipment needed to repair.
We needed a new motor in it, and they came in and we fired the other one, breach of contract, because they did not fulfill it, so we got Trinity. I don't know where they got Trinity from, but.
Yeah, 'cause the elevator in this building, I think, is the original 1972.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
There's lots of parts available for that.
Yeah, right. And that, I'm assuming it was,
No, this one was not, so the floor,
the cab got wet,
the one at the annex building was, this one was not. I mean,
This
it's,
one doesn't have that safety
so they're gonna
feature.
have to use some type of a sling system to raise the cab, just so
they,
they
he,
get down.
well, the guy
above it.
came and got it up,
Yeah.
so
They
we
to
could
the
get all
pit.
the water and everything, and everything in there is cleaned out, and all of that, but, we haven't been able to get them back down here to get it down, because I know the carpet and everything is still in there, so.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's just, I mean,
Getting kinda
that's,
funky.
yeah, you put your nose up there, got a little scent to it.
The whole shaft is covered.
Okay,
Yeah, it's,
Oh, yeah.
it's,
all right. Anybody, any other questions?
Good.
All right,
Thanks.
all right. Thank you for all that. Keep us informed here.
And y'all are all doing a good job. I know it's a lot
Oh,
of
yeah.
people on
Thank
you
you.
all the time, but you're
Staff
doing.
has been amazing.
Yeah.
Staff has been amazing on my end, and Marie's helping us out with telephones and.
Day, night,
I
weekends,
can.
just to get through all this.
Can't ask for more.
Okay, well, I
Make
guess
it.
our next agenda item is going to be the holiday events update, and I'm assuming that has something to do with all of you as well, probably, except for maybe Terry.
Terry's not allowed to have a holiday.
get on that bus and take off.
That's all right.
Oh, my God.
So,
Yeah, from under something.
one of the items I wanted to just bring up and discuss, I think, is the tree lighting. Of course, we know the boat parade. I don't see how we're gonna do a boat parade when you've got debris in the water. Marine Max is our sponsor, and they're devastated.
Still iffy themselves.
Yeah,
More than likely,
we've been
the
speaking
boat
with
parade's
them,
not
yeah,
gonna happen this
concerns.
year. Tree lighting could happen, but the tree lighting on a December 13th date, I mean, that's like, it's almost Christmas already. I don't know if that.
A week early?
So, a week early might work, 2 weeks early, is that too hard to
That's
plan
the
for?
Friday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. I don't know, just saying, give it time, but if we
Yeah.
can't do it, we can't do it.
I mean, we could get some stuff up there for sure, I mean,
I mean,
but,
it's just gonna be in that one area, right?
yeah, I mean, most of, that's,
There's not much you can do around here.
No,
this year.
because that stuff all still needs repaired, everything over there went
Are you gonna
underwater.
get people over there just for the tree lighting though?
I don't know. I mean, people are wanting to get out.
I think so.
I think,
Put a
I
little
think
joy
we
in
should
their
have
life.
it.
I think
Yeah,
we need,
something-
I think
something a
we need
little
to keep
positive.
something
Yeah.
positive.
I mean,
If
I
it's
could
just a
go, I
lighting.
could do the, I could do the,
You know, all the places up north, they have their light up. When I was in Blue Ridge, Light Up Blue Ridge was the weekend after Thanksgiving. So,
yeah.
Like the weekend after Thanksgiving is in the Friday or Saturday right after, or a week later?
a week later, yeah.
So like the December
It's
first
like
or
the-
whatever that first
that's
weekend
the
is?
Sixth,
Yeah, I don't have my
sixth
phone.
and seventh. The Friday is the sixth, Saturday the seventh.
I think it's the sixth.
Yeah, Friday is the sixth.
I think I am too. So,
The lights on the avenue are gonna go up November, putting the flags up for
Veterans Day.
Veterans Day, and then when they take them down, I wanna say it would be the, right before Thanksgiving, the lights on the avenue will go up, because we gotta do those at night, because we had them already all repaired. You know, we start that in, late August, early September through Duke, but since these two storms, you know, we don't know if any of them, you know, like the outlets, you know, some of the outlets got, you know, because we just had it done, so, we're gonna have them put them up at night so they can tag them, and, you know, when they plug them in, they can tag them and everything, and then we'll do poll numbers and addresses, and, you know, hopefully, you know, Duke can do, maybe a little speedy, just for the ones that ain't out, you know, hopefully it's not a whole lot of them.
can we try to shoot for November 29th for the lighting?
Because people are here visiting, that's a good idea. They're here visiting, they can bring their friends.
I know it's hard,
People
and
are
there's a
here,
lot
ain't
going
there.
on.
We just
But
need, honestly, we just need to evaluate with staff as well, because that's a holiday weekend that at this point,
Yeah.
people have already made their plans. I just
Yeah.
don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
saying that, but like, it's November 5th. I
Does
just, I
it
don't know.
have to be on a
Yeah.
Friday? I
don't
mean,
know.
Yeah.
can it be a
Right.
Wednesday or something? I mean, it's,
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
it's
it really
early
don't have to be on
enough.
Friday, because it's gonna be, it's dark at
Yeah.
6 o'clock. I mean,
Yeah.
people could come out and, you
Yeah.
know, still be home at a good time. We can do it a Tuesday or Wednesday or whatever the following week, if, I don't know what our meeting is, but yeah. I mean, that would be easy enough, it's, you know, it's just a couple hour.
I think
That's a
Thanksgiving
good idea.
weekend, that's tough.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea to have it during the week.
You guys saying go over there after a commission meeting or something?
Or have it on Wednesday.
Oh.
I'm out of town on the 6th, so if you do it then, yeah, that's the only thing. Can't cancel what I gotta do on.
Well, since the other lights will be up, can you do it before Thanksgiving? The Tuesday before, something like that? You say the lights will be up, right?
Well,
The
the lights
lights
will
on
be
the-
up on
the
the avenue,
poles.
the park, we still, I
Oh,
mean, we're still
right.
finishing cleaning up a little bit. I mean, I don't think it would take them long to decorate that. You know, usually that big tree's about, that big tree takes about 3 days, 2.5 days. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we did last week. No, we made sure that power didn't go
Possibly the
under.
weekend before.
We would need to
But
know
no
right away,
guarantee.
because that is less than 2 weeks from now. So I would need to put I have not put anything out for this because I have no idea. So,
Yeah, that-
I mean, it's possible, but we would need to know right away.
Why did you say the 13th was now? Is it too close to Christmas?
It's just very late,
Okay.
Late in the year, yeah.
but
I mean,
But, you know, late in the
It's
year,
also
and
not-
given
Give people more time.
circumstances.
call it a
yeah.
Christmas party.
It's just something to try to bring some normalcy
we
back.
could do it the 13th, I mean, it's just,
Yeah, like you said, call it a
Just-
Christmas
just call it
party,
the
not
Christmas
like-
party.
It's a Christmas
Yeah.
party.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And we could have donuts and coffee like we always do, so, Christmas party.
More of our snowbirds will be back.
Yeah.
They're already starting to come back. Well, you guys know. I'm sure you've seen them. But,
So what happens not deterring them from coming back? I guess as long as they're not on first floor, they're.
yeah, for example, like,
Well,
yeah.
a lot of them are being requested not to come back. A lot of the associations are emailing their owners to just, you know, even if you might be on an upper floor, maybe think of something else. Yeah, to do this year. So what do you guys want to do, 13th?
13th.
Or put the pressure on
That's
them
a
to get it done in
Friday?
2 weeks?
It is a Friday.
Friday the 13th, Christmas
13th,
get together.
yeah.
Love
All right,
have another-
13, I hear a lot of 13s
it. What could
out
possibly
there.
go
Makes,
wrong there?
makes the most sense.
Santa hat and a Jason mask, right?
There you go.
That gives everybody time to.
All right, yeah, then the party idea sounds good. And I know we either do a lot of the stuff ourselves, but maybe some of our local businesses would want to contribute more than they usually do this time.
Well,
And maybe make a present there if they want to, presents. So it's something to put out there, and just see what we can make happen.
And so we will also go ahead and formally announce that the boat parade is canceled for this year.
Yes, I can't see how we're
Okay.
gonna do that,
I agree.
because I don't think the chief will have.
We
all
have
the
no
debris
idea what the
removed by
water
then.
is like right now.
Yeah.
The debris, we have
That
no
little-
idea.
That little 2-horse motor on that John boat, that's going to be, take a while.
That's why we call for the.
And a big magnet.
Big, yeah, and a big egg, never know what you're gonna find out there now. A lot of new fishing spots.
So we'll go ahead and notice that. We'll start advertising for we'll call it like a holiday party instead of a tree lighting. We go with that? Call it a holiday party? Holiday party. Okay.
Speaking of that, what are we doing with the 41?
I was gonna ask about that. So every year, staff comes to the commission, to evaluate, city office closures for the holidays. We tend to kind of look at where the holidays fall to try to determine what makes sense and seeing what, our neighboring communities are doing. This year's a bit of a funky year because Christmas and New Year's are both on Wednesdays. Our city policies only formally close us on Christmas Day and on New Year's Day. The commission has been very gracious in the past to give extra time because we are so small that it's difficult. You know, when you have a department of 3 people, you're kind of doing paper, rock, scissors for who gets to take off like Christmas Eve or New Year's. It gets very difficult. So I guess coming to you all to kind of make a request for consideration for extra time this year. We would like to ask for the 26th to be closed and then to close at noon on the 24th to allow people to be able to go, to either travel if they need to or to prepare and be with their families. And then potentially to also close at noon on the 31st, since that's New Year's Eve day, to close at noon. So, or if anybody else has any other,
I think it should be
That's-
closed the Thursday and the Friday after Christmas. I mean, y'all have worked very hard.
I don't disagree. I would like to,
Yeah, I think you should.
My thought is
So-
definitely that these guys are putting in a lot of hours.
They are.
it has been a very difficult fall
Yeah.
for the entire city.
Do the half day
Very
before
difficult.
Christmas and then go through the weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing at New Year's.
Yeah, I think so.
So,
Yeah, I like that idea.
Because
That's
they'll
great.
probably be here working anyway.
Yeah.
so.
You mean Christmas Eve, what are you talking about?
so
The-
that,
Christmas is on a Wednesday, so give them the Thursday and the Friday.
Yeah, I think that's great.
so a
New Year's
half,
is not on Wednesday, so give them Thursday and Friday.
Does that include a half a day on
Well-
Tuesday?
so
Oh, no.
Wednesday is Christmas, so it would be a half day the Tuesday.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Half day the
Tuesday,
24th and all day Wednesday through Friday.
Right, Wednesday through Friday, yeah.
Okay.
Long weekend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then a half day on the
Should I say it?
31st.
Yeah,
Should
for
I
the
say
end of the
it?
year, yeah.
You're gonna say Terry?
What does that do to fire?
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
What? So maybe we won't have any fires for those 3 days?
Oh, they'll be here.
No fires allowed over Christmas.
There you
They'll
go.
be here. We work it out for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we work it out for them. Yeah, yeah. Yep. So, much appreciated. I'll add.
Very much so, thank you.
Yeah, I'll add a
The guys-
resolution.
It's been a tough road.
It has been very
But
tough.
Terry, you still have to work.
Yeah.
Well, and that's, it's kind of point, this fall, I know of many of our employees that have had to cancel vacations and trips and personal plans, Terry being one of them.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we have
Family
seniors on the
things.
weekends, they're coming in at night, and so then for us to be so small that it's like, hey, only 1 or 2 of you can take off on this day for Christmas.
No, I
'cause
think
yet
that's-
it's very difficult for us to stay open that close to, it's difficult, and this year especially has been
I agree.
exhausting. So, for people to be able to spend some time with their families, I think that's
Yeah, I think so.
much
Works for
appreciated.
me.
Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Black
We'll
circles
send
under
you
my
a-
eyes, don't give it away.
So,
It's okay, I'll fix it.
Any other events we need to discuss? I think we canceled everything else already.
unfortunately, we already had discussed our spring events. We'll make sure that everybody is made aware of that. We'll send out letters to our artists and whatnot, and we'll have to kind of revisit that. If you don't mind, if we can wait until getting into the new year to revisit what we want to do with those, because we lost all of our art spring boards, everything. So, and we have some questions about sort of how to restructure some things with Hibiscus Hall and the book room, but we're hoping to have that as kind of a separate conversation with you all. Because I don't know if you've seen the book room, but it's non-existent anymore.
Yeah.
I'm happy to walk anybody around down there that wants to
Yeah.
see it, but we've had to tear
Not a
down.
whole lot of anything down there is
Everything.
existing.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah, so we'll have some questions for you all about how to move forward on some of that stuff, but if we can not worry with that at this exact moment, that would be.
On the lighter side, how's
That'd be
our
great.
pavilion coming?
Moving right along.
Yep.
Good?
Yeah, they got a lot of the sidewalk poured in. I think they were coming to put the pilings in. What was that wall called?
Retaining
The
wall?
retaining wall was in. They're moving along.
Good.
So they were pouring concrete.
Take 5, yes, sir.
Oh, pouring
We
their
came
big
in
slab and
Saturday
everything.
and did that
Oh, sweet.
inspection. Bless you.
That's
So
Bless.
they could,
Gotta build the pits.
They got
they're
enough,
integrated into the,
and those pits and stuff out there, my God.
Right.
It looks like Kelly's got open pretty quick, and I saw now they're offering the $5.55 meals, drinks, and everything included.
Flood panels help them
Yeah,
out.
that's a new
Yeah.
building, so yeah, they did well. They did well.
Which is something I think every business should start looking at right now. If they don't have to rebuild, look at some of that system that they use that sucks up against the
And-
wall.
Time
We
down
need
the,
a storm update.
Oh, on the next one? Yeah, I sent you guys something the last couple days. It's not something I wanted to see this time of year. If current forecast track holds, it would be a push away, but like anything, right? A front or
the
something.
day before.
Yeah, so I'm real curious to see where it actually ends up crossing Cuba, and then we'll know a lot more when that happens. So yeah, cross your fingers. Say a
And they're
prayer.
saying a 2 going across Cuba so far.
Most intensity models are in agreement, a high 1 or a low 2. So is hopefully that. There is some unfavorable weather up in the northern Gulf, so they do expect by the time it hits land, it would weaken a little bit. Of course, as we see with the Linus, the surge is the big thing for us. Right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess the fact that the water is still so warm. I mean, we're in November in the high 80s, and the water is warm. And that's what's scary about it.
Hopefully, we're good for another 101
hopefully they
years.
stick to their calendar.
I was gonna say, hopefully the hurricanes
101 years, we're good.
recognize-
We're good. All right, that was
They only
enough.
have until the 30th.
So we got rid of the comfort area, well, had to take it away basically because of visibility. Are we still having anybody from FEMA around?
I'm in talks with them on that. They're
Okay.
trying to consolidate now that a lot of the initial push of registrations has been completed. There's less of the immediate need. It's more people with very specific follow-up questions or questions about if they got a denial, which is not what the on-site reps here were doing. They're much more of the broad questions. Let me help you get registered. Let me give you information. So I'm trying to get somebody to come out here. I've told them that they can use space within the building if they'll send us somebody, and so they're trying to do that. So, well, we were actually losing them prior to the comfort
Oh, we
station
were.
being demobilized. That was part of it being demobilized, was that people
Okay.
weren't coming here as much because FEMA wasn't here
Yeah.
as consistently.
Yeah.
So,
All right. Anybody got anything else?
Well, just for the future, because, we had all talked about, we talking about waterproofing stuff, that'll be, something will be brought up in the future about doing that to, I guess downstairs, eliminating the glass, block walls, waterproofing, weatherproofing out, and then have the panels like on the door, kind of like what Kelly's had
We have to
too.
look at.
So, yeah, because we really can't do what we just did again down there.
I mean, those kind of systems would be great in these first floor condo units. I mean, they could put it around the front door.
No, sir.
No.
Sorry, dry-flow proofing is only allowed for non-residential structures.
Yep.
You can't do that for residential because we don't want people staying and then have the risk of that overflowing
Like
and it
blowing
filling
out.
up.
Yeah.
Oh.
So you can, you can,
Because
or
the
a fire, and they
commercial
can't
unit
open the
would be
door.
vacant at the time.
It should be, yes.
Correct, they're
They
supposed to
might ignore the
evacuate.
evacuation.
Yes.
Correct.
You
And there is
board
a-
it up and you leave.
There's a sump
Yeah.
pump requirement so that it has to be, to pump the water back out in case it does overflow. I mean, there's some requirements in place, but it's only for non-residential structures. Not saying that you can't purchase them and use them, but not something that we recommend because people think that now they can stay.
They're safe.
Proofed and
Yeah.
they're safe, but they can't get out of the building when those are in place.
How do they work at Palms? Those big
So
boat
they have a
buildings?
dam.
Which storm?
They
No,
didn't
because Helene,
work.
it
They didn't
went
work during
above.
Helene.
It went above Helene. Yeah.
It went over it.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah, that's only 3 feet.
Yeah.
Correct,
In fact,
one of
when
the
the second
calls.
storm came, they added a third layer of those berms, or whatever you call those ballasts.
Tiger Dam.
Tiger dam.
Neat, though. I mean, that's a good that's a neat process. It's a good thought.
I mean, the one in Tampa that held back
Oh.
the river.
Oh my
That's
gosh,
a-
that thing was
It's amazing.
impressive.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Did
didn't
you
see
see a
that
picture of
one.
the guy on the other side
He's
of
on the
it?
other side, I'm like,
I'm
there's
like, that's
no
not gonna be
way.
me. No, I'm sorry. Standing there with that.
Look at that for City Hall.
Yeah.
But,
That one
but
went
that
through our
was,
glass.
that was something that we, it's just
That is
something that we were talking about.
No, we're
Just-
looking at all our
Got
options.
that call in the middle of the night from the few people who were.
Yeah, that was pretty
Hospital.
scary. They were trapped.
Yeah.
Water was overflowing the Tiger Dam. We were at the EOC and could not get to them because of the depth of water in Pasadena. So we kept in contact, talked through with staff. They kept about 12 people. When I called to check on them during Milton, they're like, "Oh no, no one's
No one's there.
They're not doing that
Where
again."
was that?
At
The
Palms.
hospital.
Oh.
Not
Luckily
Palms.
for them, it's 2 stories, so they, moved up. But, it got electrical systems and other hazards when it gets wet. Yeah, it wasn't a fun evening, that's for sure.
I want to do it again.
132 calls in 4 hours.
Yeah, we're done.
All right.
Feminine
That's it?
ups.
You got nothing for us either? Okay. Now I'm gonna adjourn it.
And again, thank you all very much.
Thank you.